Coca-Cola, the drink of togetherness.
It's the World Cup special. It's around the wickets on ThePapare.com. Hello and welcome. It's good to be back with you once again. And I can tell you that it's been a roller coaster. Sri Lanka has had a roller coaster ride. You know what I mean by roller coaster? You're really doing well one day and then you're also in the valley the next day. And we are back at the top as we talk today after that magnificent victory over the West Indies after a rather poor showing against South Africa. So that's the reason why I said roller coaster, and how much will Sri Lanka regret that South African defeat. Anyway, to talk about it and more, I got two experts once more with me, Farveez, Maharoof and Jehan Mubarak. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thanks, Roshan.
We can smile a little bit better today because we did smile a lot again after the England game. Then we're not so happy against South Africa, but here we are back smiling. Who likes to start the positive note? Can I start with you, Mr. Mubarak, or can we get to Mr. Maharoof? Whichever one, it's a toss-up because we're all going to talk good things.
We'll let Maha go first.
All right, okay. He's speechless. Even when we win, he can't speak.
Yeah, I mean 300 plus score after a while, so that definitely makes us smile. And just to summarize, I thought once the West Indies won the toss and opted to bowl first, the lengths but they bowl were very average. You know, once you in Durham, the spongy bounce, you got to pitch it up. I mean, you take the South African game, Dwayne Pretorius were very successful because he tried to pitch the ball up, and the driving in the front foot wasn't that easy. Whereas the West Indians, they were banging on the halfway down the track like Ocean Thomas and Shelan Gabriel. So I think once you win the toss, you expect early wickets, and that's what West Indies didn't get. And all credit to the Sri Lankan two openers. I mean, they batted really well, especially if you look at number of runs being scored off the wicket. It shows that how bad that West Indies bowling
attack. Yeah.
And also talking about our batting, I think Avishka Fernando, fantastic. Dimuth Karunatha, Kusal Janit. Only concern for me with Kusal and Dimuth not getting that start to a big score. So other than that, I thought we finished up well, and Lairu Thirimana, good to see him getting some runs as well. And overall, much deserved victory. And I should say this, I mean, West Indies looked pretty average in the field and in the bowling setup, as well as in the first half of the batting. But Nicholas Pooran again, fantastic. But overall, I thought we were deserved to win.
Yeah, no doubt we deserved to win. But just on the topic that he made, just on the point that he made about the lengths the fast bowlers bowl, is it a fast bowlers thing? Is it the type of pitches they bowl on? Because you know that they were express in pace and they generally bowl in the West Indies. I mean, some of these guys are not experienced. Thomas in particular is a young guy. Well, Gabriel, I think he needs to put his hand up and take a little bit more of the blame. But what are your thoughts on that? You're a coach.
I think it's a part of an experienced fast bowler thing, but more a Sri Lankan thing.
Okay.
When they see Sri Lanka, fast bowlers want to bowl short.
Okay.
Wherever they play. Even if they come to Sri Lanka, the West Indians want to bowl short at us.
Why is that? Do we have this? Do we have the reputation of being poor against a short ball?
Yes, we do. But in one day, it depends on the pitch. And that's a mistake that England made against us as well. They bowl short. They tried to intimidate and bounce us out of the game, which was not possible on that pitch. You can do that on certain pitches, on certain grounds, but not at Durham and not when England played against us either. So the conditions play a very important role in the brand of cricket you play.
Right. Now, we did identify the fact that the West Indies didn't bowl well. Their lengths were wrong. But we did see situations like that even before, where Sri Lanka couldn't capitalize. But what do you think the real driving force in this game for Sri Lanka? Okay, we can talk about good batting, all that. But I think it's a little bit more than that, because we've had opportunities that Sri Lanka didn't capitalize on. So how would you kind of identify it?
We were uninhibited, and Avishka, through the tournament, that has been
You think Avishka is turning out to be a factor in this entire thing?
Yes. Avishka is a fact. Avishka and Kusal. So those are the two players who play with freedom, uninhibited. Dimuth has been solid at the top. So those three guys getting us runs, if we are to get 300, those have been a consistent performance throughout the tournament. And sorry. And that's helps the others chip in. Kusal Mendis, Lairu Thirimana comes in when they have that base and foundation to build the innings around.
See, now it appears that we have gone from one extreme to another extreme when it comes to our batting order. Now, we were having Dimuth and Kusal opening the batting, and we were looking at more stability at 3. someone solid. That was the plan. Then you bring in the more cavalier Avishka Fernando into the number 3 position, and now it appears that the middle order is batting around him. You know, his cavalier approach, the real cavalier approach is paying off. That's how it appears. And add to that, I'm kind of extending my question. We now are looking at a situation where 2 similar batsmen, left hand, right hand, of course, will be batting together. Avishka and Kusal in the longer form or in the longer term of one-day cricket. So how do you see, both of you as ex-cricketers, how do you see this transformation from one place to another, and how do you see this being kind of continued with? Maha?
I think it will continue for a while. I mean, as Jehan correctly said, all 3 batsmen have done well, and they definitely deserves a much longer continuation once this World Cup is over and whatever tour is going to come up. So I reckon all these 3 players, from in my own eyes, I can see them playing in the 2023 World Cup as well.
Good.
So it's very important to give them the continuity, give them the confidence that the selectors and the admin back them to bring glory to the country. So I think these 3 have done so far really well, and they deserve a longer continuation.
Point taken. And they're young and they deserve that. But my point, Jehan, I'm redirecting the question at you, is that obviously the world's going to identify this. These 2 together, Avishka coming and expressing himself. But is this something that can last?
It can. What can happen is, like with all the players, when they come in, the first few games, the opposition hasn't worked them out yet.
Correct.
Happened with Kusal Mendes, happened with Sadira Samarikrama, happens with every player who comes in. Rishabh Pant now with India, he'll come and play some innings, teams will work him out. Then they will need to go back to the drawing board. Teams will start bowling fuller to Avishka, they'll start taking pace off the ball, they'll bowl in the channel. Like they did with Kusal Mendes. He got 194 against Australia. Australia came back and worked him out. So then the player, you need to give him time. They will go through those patches. We need to be patient with them. And that's exactly what Maha is saying. If we are looking at 2023, we have identified these guys in this World Cup. To get 100 in a World Cup, one of the youngest centurions, means there's something special about him.
Of course.
So are we going to be patient, give them that time to develop that talent? Otherwise, if they fail in 1 series, 2 series, are we going to throw them out? Are we going to shuffle them down the batting order?
Now, to stop you there. Now, how do you see Avishka's role in the future? Do you see him being considered for all 3 formats, or is he primarily going to be a white ball player?
I would use him initially for a shorter version.
That is the 50 over and the T20.
And T20.
So you won't be looking at him for Test cricket?
No.
Not at the moment?
Not at the moment. Okay. Not at the moment.
Right. Then we also see for the first time that the middle order have really been successful. Nothing big. Good scores, chipping in, supporting Avishka. But again, I want to ask you, both of you, is this the Avishka factor? Is this the dominance that he created, that these guys came and milked the bowling?
Absolutely. I think
So,
absolutely.
So then in that case, it's a new situation for Sri Lanka, because you can't expect Avishka to be doing this all the time. But on his day, this is going to happen. But it's something new.
Maybe he will do it all the time. Maybe it's good enough. We have expectations. We want our seniors to be the
No, but
core.
can he be consistent 10 out of 10? That's my question. It's not easy. I mean, 10 out of 7 is more like it for a top batsman.
Yeah. See, if he can do 10 out of 7, even 10 out of 6, that's
You've done
still
well.
good enough. That's better than what we are getting at the moment anyway. Now we're getting about 10 out of 3, 10 out of 4.
Right.
Sorry, 4 out of 10.
Yeah, right. Right.
Numbers are
You're
a bit
excited,
wrong.
are you?
I mean, there's no guarantee that he's going to play every game, but to perform. But all I can say is what I've seen so far.
He has
He
the
looks
potential.
very solid.
Yes,
For
I
his
agree.
age, he's very mature for his
agree.
age. And as Jehan said, it's important that Kusal Mendes and Angelo Matthews also, have their top form going forward, because there's going to be extra pressure on them also. So you've got to be really careful where it's happening. And also looking at the dimension of the team, where we lacked was a 6th bowler. Small point to be noted.
So what are we going to do about it? That's the question I'm going to come to with now, because we've spoken about the batting. Now, we did include Lahiru Thirimanne as the additional batsman. Obviously, it paid off.
Yeah.
He helped to get things finished off well, but we paid a huge price. At one stage, if Angelo Matthews didn't put his hand up, I was wondering who was going to bowl those last two overs. Was it going to be Dimuth? Was it going to be Van der Sar bowling from either end? I wondered whether Dimuth got his maths wrong to leave those 2 overs towards the end. That's what I thought. Yeah. So, Jehan, it was a frightening scenario, honestly.
Yeah, I also was wondering because I saw that coming from about the 40th over.
Yes.
He had to buy 2 overs from somewhere. At least 1 over he had to buy in.
So, but what are we going to do in this scenario now? Now, we are happy about a settled batting lineup now, at least for the time being. Dhananjay is at 7. So, we are now lacking the extra ball. Is it because unfortunately Jeffrey Van der Sar couldn't get through his 10 overs? Or should we at all times leave an allowance for this? Because we were anyway having only 5 bowlers. Only 5, so it is asking for a little bit too much, isn't it? Going into a 50-over game with only 5 bowlers. How would you work around this scenario?
I think it's very important to have one bowler at least capable of bowling at least 5 overs in the top 6.
So whom do we have?
That's something. I mean, it's important.
I'm going to get Matthews to come and bowl again.
Angie, if Angie can bowl 5 overs, that'll be bonus. But it's asking too much with his history of injuries.
With some leg spin.
I mean, something has to come up. I mean, he
leg
bowls
spin.
a bit of off spin, but
now off spin. I've seen him bowl leg spin.
He bowls everything.
Dimuth bowls a bit of off spin.
But playing in Asian condition now, next series is going to be in Asia. So I think the top 6. I mean, we used to have Sanath, we used to have Dilshan, Russell Arnold, Arvind Risula bowling all these little 5 over, 6 overs for us. But that's why we don't have. And it's a huge risk we are taking because in case if a bowler breaks down to an injury or what happened with Van der Sar having a day off the way he did, I think we'll be in trouble. So we have to look into that matter very carefully.
Was this the absence of even Thisara Pereira's presence wouldn't have made a difference if you played the same lineup? Because he would have been one of the bowlers. Anyway, that's a good scenario to be in because Sri Lanka has just won. So time now to join Damit Veerasinghe. I'm sure he's over the moon, especially after Sri Lanka beat the West Indies in that last game. Let's hear what he has got to say.
Thank you, Roshan. Yes, a wonderful game of cricket here in Durham. Brilliant atmosphere. Even world famous Jehan was in present for this game. Sri Lanka won the game by 23 runs thanks to some brilliant batting by Avishka Fernando. How good was he? Excellent batting. Maiden century for him in ODIs. First Sri Lankan to score a century this tournament and the youngest Sri Lankan to score a century in World Cup cricket. Brilliant knock. Lairu Thirimana chipped in. Kusal Mendis, Angelo Matthews, they all contributed to Sri Lanka's score of 338. Kusal Perera and Dimuth Karunaratne once again provided a brilliant platform. 93 runs they added for the first wicket. Then with the ball, Lasith Malinga was the star once again, but rest of the bowlers struggled. They dropped about 4-5 catches also. Their fielding was below par, but who else was the champion for Sri Lanka? Angelo Matthews. He hadn't bowled in international cricket for 8 months, but he came on and took the wicket of Nicholas Pooran. All in all, a good performance by Sri Lanka. They hadn't crossed 250 before this game, but today they made 338. Sri Lanka now will go to Leeds where they will play India on the 6th of July. If Sri Lanka can beat India, they will finish on the 5th in the points table. So that's all from Durham. I will see you all again in Leeds after the Indian game.
Welcome back. Well, Sri Lanka has their final game of the 2019 World Cup, and after that it will be goodbye and curtains for the time being. We've already started talking about the World Cup in 4 years. Farveez Maharoof said he was looking at some of these players playing in that World Cup. But before we go that far, Sri Lanka has to play one of the top teams, India, on the 6th of July, and they will obviously want to finish on a high. how do you see Sri Lanka going into that game? I'm not asking you whether Sri Lanka is going to win. I'm only asking how do you see them going into that game, because as I introduced this program at the start, it's a roller coaster, up and down. Indian game, how much of a challenge is it going to be? Is the Sri Lankan bowling lineup good enough to challenge that strong Indian batting lineup? These are the issues that we need to address.
I think three things I will say: nothing to lose, pride, and playing at Headingley. We have very good memories playing at Headingley, and we just have to go out there, enjoy ourselves. The last game, most of the players maybe the last World Cup, so you just have to go out there and showcase whatever they have, and also confidence factor is huge. Winning out, scoring a 330 against a decent West Indies attack, going to a game where Indians generally we have beaten them in world events, so you can take those confidence. And I mean, you can't take Indians away. I mean, they will also want to finish on a high just before the semi-finals coming up. So it's an interesting setup going to be. And looking at the combination of our team, I think only the one place of Jeffrey Van der Sey for me, the way he bowled, maybe the place must be up for grabs. But other than that, I think we'll probably play the same level.
Yeah, now interestingly, you spoke about Headingley and all that. I've just got some stats here. In 2017, in the Champions Trophy, last time these two met, Sri Lanka won by 7 wickets. Then Sri Lanka beat England earlier at Headingley, so Headingley has very happy memories. And in terms of the World Cup, Sri Lanka have won 4, India have won 3. So World Cup, Sri Lanka has a better record. So overall, of course, it's a fairly overwhelming record for India, 90 versus 56. Now, you made the point about Jeffrey Van der Sey. Now, let me be the devil's advocate here. Let me be the one who's going to speak for Jeffrey Van der Sey. I know as an international cricketer, you've got to be ready at the point the opportunity is given. I know that. But sometimes it's a little bit easier said than done. Now, Jeffrey Van der Sey has been in this World Cup. He went there with a reputation. He sat out for so many days, and he's been only bowling in the nets. And here he is asked to come in and bowl in a World Cup game. Again, I want to rub in or reiterate the fact that an international cricketer needs to be ready to take the opportunity. But that's theory. In practical terms, let's try and get into Jeffrey Van der Sey's shoes. Is there any merit in what I'm trying to ask you?
In practical terms, the issue is not sitting out during the World Cup. The issue is that the run-up to the World Cup, these players have not had enough exposure. India have so many players sitting on the bench. Ravindra Jadeja might come in and play a World Cup semi-final without having played a single game.
Right.
And he'll be ready.
Okay.
It's because
that's because of the run-up, you're saying?
Because of the run-up. They've been playing IPL, they've been playing, so he's ready. And so they can afford to sit up and be ready just by practicing. Whereas our players, we are not ready because we are not match ready. So just practicing alone is not good enough. We haven't played enough matches in the last 3-4 months, one-day matches, to get these guys ready.
And I don't think
for
Van
the
der Sey
World Cup.
played much.
Van der Sey hasn't played, Milinda hasn't played. So there are a lot of players there who haven't
So is it fair really to whilst we are all making fun of the poor fellow, what is the practical situation? I mean, look, both of you, you've been there. How tough, how challenging is it? Let's spare a thought for the young man. No one would go and do it willingly.
I mean, it's a big challenge. I mean, nothing taken away. I mean, it's a big challenge. It's a huge ask to straight away come in and fill in the shoes of being the number one spinner. But that's the international game. That's a professional that comes out. I mean, he has played enough cricket to know himself. He has to be ready. I know it's a different feeling bowling in the nets or as bowling in the middle. But saying that you just have to grab the opportunity. There are so much competition coming up. You just can't let it go. I mean, I feel sorry for him. But end of the day, it's an international game. And definitely it was not up to the mark.
Avishka, Fernando is in the same shoes as Van der Sey.
Given the first place,
and he's come in and he's hit the ground.
Better. So, Jehan, before we go, what are your thoughts? What would you do with the team for the next game? Will you give Jeffrey Van der Sey another go? Or would you drop a batsman and bring in an all-rounder? Or what would you want to do with India with such a strong batting lineup? You will obviously need your bowling at their A game.
We definitely need a sixth bowler because whoever we bring in there, whether it is Van der Sey, Milinda or Jehan,
still it's the fifth bowler.
Still it's the fifth bowler, So we are going to need the sixth bowler.
So what would you do, chairman or selector?
We'll ask the selector.
No, I'm going to ask you.
I would.
It's a tough call.
It's a tough call. It's a tough call.
So would you leave out Thiruman and bring in?
No, I'd keep the batting. If at all, I'd bring maybe Milinde for Van der Sar or give Van der Sar another game. And
So
see.
if you
There's
give
nothing.
if you bring Milinde for Van der
Still-
Sar,
yeah.
then you're 4.5 bowlers.
Anyway, Van der Sar is going to bowl only 6 overs, and I get Milinde to bowl 5 overs, and Angelo, Dimuth, Kusal to bowl.
So if Angelo bowls, that is, what happens?
Angelo to bowl 3 overs, Kusal to bowl 3 overs, Dimuth to bowl 3 overs.
What? In theory, it sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds definitely good, but for me, I'll definitely keep the top 7. I mean,
Right.
Thiruman deserves to go the way he batted.
Right. I agree with
And
you. I agree.
probably Van der Sar's place, that's where, I mean, next few days will be very important. How the confidence is going to be, how he's going to bowl in training.
So let's assume
whether
that
gonna
he's
come
not
back.
bowling well. Whom would you pick?
I'll probably pick
Jehan again?
just for the bowling and make him
So will
better
he
at number
bowl
9.
the 10 overs, Jehan?
I mean, the way he bowled, he did bowl better than Van der Sar. So you got to give that to Jehan. I know that he hasn't batted well, but at the moment, how Jeffrey Van der Sar bowled, there's a big question mark. So as I said, the next few days of training and the confidence factor will be a huge factor before we select the 11.
So basically, both of you, not you, but you're saying a like-to-like replacement.
That's the only option we have.
I would bring Milinde and back up batting to get runs against their leg spinners.
Right, let's see now. Let's see. He thinks Milinde Sirivardhana bring in the left-hander, but he's going to bat deep in the order. He's going to bat at 7.
We can use him.
So can you afford to have a batsman batting as low as 7?
8.
No, 8.
No, Dhananjay can be pushed to 8 if you want to,
Yeah.
but if he, as a pure batsman, is it worth?
He's not a pure. I'll play him as an all-round. Like 5 over. I have to get 5 over 6 overs out of Milinde.
Right, so that's a Milinde Sirivardhana fan. He's backing him to play. Jeevan Mendes, a like-to-like replacement from Farveez Maharoof. So we are almost at the end of our show, and let me remind you that the ThePapare.com special hub, that is the www.thepapare.com/CWC19, that's for the Cricket World Cup, and it has exclusive and quality content. You need to log in and you need to try and get whatever information you have in case you're a cricket fan and you want to know more about the World Cup. And also, let me keep reminding you that ThePapare.com is the only digital clip licensee for ICC in Sri Lanka. And also to keep up with all the latest information, sports content, just subscribe to ThePapare.com. Now, before I go, I need to ask you the question of the week. Now, the question is, who scored a century in the last Indo-Sri Lanka World Cup meeting? When was that? Was it in 2015?
11.
2011. Oh yeah, 2011, the final you mean. Didn't we
not
play
saying
after that?
anything.
Didn't we play in Australia?
Producer saying not to say
Okay,
anything.
producer says not to say. All right. I was just picking your brains. Just wanted to find out how much you know about it. Anyway, that's the question. Who scored a century in the last Indo-Sri Lanka World Cup meeting? Now, last week's question was, in which years Sri Lanka defeated West Indies in a completed match in a World Cup? I'm ashamed of you. You didn't know. We can't find a winner. Would you believe it? I thought most of you watching are cricket fans, and you got statistics at your fingertips. That's why you should subscribe to ThePapare.com. That's why you should get into their website and get all the content. So shame on you, no winner. But let me give you the answer. 2003 and 2007. Right, so let's see whether you can come up with an answer the next time. For the moment, we have to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us. We will see you very soon again, and hopefully it won't be a roller coaster. We'll continue to be going up and Sri Lanka would beat India. That's what we hope. Let's see what happens. Until then, it's goodbye.
Sri Lanka lose another wicket, and that brings the total to 98.
Let's get together and cheer our Lions to victory. Let's rally behind our team at the Cricket World Cup. We want a 6! With Coca-Cola, the drink of togetherness.